Tebow2 here, back with another episode of my Doctor Who Mobs tutorial. In this episode we're going to be covering the KERBLAM Man. So, the KERBLAM Man appeared, obviously in the episode KERBLAM, and basically was the equivalent of like an Amazon delivery person, and kind of just teleported on board the TARDIS. We don't have to be in the TARDIS for this to work in my Mobs tutorial, I just happened to be in the TARDIS. So the KERBLAM Man in the game will spawn every hour, basically, at a random player on the server, and so, but to speed up the process, you can type this command, scoreboard players add KERBLAM 72,000, because in ticks, 72,000 equates to an hour, so we just set that to an hour. Boom. Particles, KERBLAM Man shows up, delivery for Tebow2, and here he is. I know the head doesn't look entirely like him. I'm still trying to find one that looks a little more KERBLAM Man-ish, but this is as close as I could find for the moment. He's got the blue suit, the little KERBLAM Man title, and he's got a package in his hands for us. So we can take this package from him. Delivery fulfilled, and remember, if you want it, KERBLAM it. Does a little salute, and he disappears. And what do you know, KERBLAM logo. So yeah, pretty much I modeled this exactly on how it appeared in the episode. And now we have our package, and this isn't just an empty chest, it does have some stuff in it. So if we place it down and open it up, we actually got some kind of, it's mostly just like starter type materials. So we've got like pickaxe, axe, some logs, food. The idea was to make it not too overpowered and to kind of just help the player out, since basically you're just getting a chest full of items for free. I didn't want to make it really very powerful, but at the same time kind of helpful, so I figured maybe this would be nice. So yeah, the chest that you actually get from him is actually randomized. So if we open this, it won't match up to the one we got last time. See, it's similar, but different again. You get my point. It's different each and every time. So how does this all work? Well, we have these commands in here, and it seems like a lot, but really is just a matter of getting them to go in the right sequence and getting the timing right. That's what a lot of this repeater stuff is for example. So what I decided to start with was the timer that determined when he would actually arrive. So that's done in a scoreboard, so we just do scoreboard, objectives, add KERBLAM, that's just what I called it, and then I made it a dummy scoreboard, and then I didn't give it a display name because you're never going to see it, so I just called it this. And you would just add that, and let me just show you that on the side of my screen. You can see it's kind of just going up gradually. I say gradually. Basically, in a nutshell, those are ticks, and so it's going up 20 times a second. And that's being controlled by this command block here. Execute unless entity @e name equals KERBLAM Man. Run scoreboard players add @a KERBLAM 1. So basically, the scoreboard stops if there's already a KERBLAM Man in the world. But the moment there isn't one, it just starts counting up, like I said, 20 times a second, just going one at a time, but because of the speed of the repeating command block, it goes 20 times a second, and yeah, every player on the server is going to get a KERBLAM score, and basically when it gets to that 72,000, it'll spawn the KERBLAM Man, so let's see how that works. So over here, we have this command block, and this is doing execute if entity @a scores equals KERBLAM equals 72,000, and then the dot just means like if it could also be above 72,000, so it doesn't have to be exact, because sometimes if you put it exact, it's too fast and the command can't pick it up because you're only on that score for a split second before it keeps going higher. So I just said 72 and above, basically 72,000. Unless entity @e name equals KERBLAM Man, so again, it won't try to detect your score if there's already an existing KERBLAM Man. However, if it picks up your score and there isn't already a KERBLAM Man, then this comparator will go off, and then these four command blocks will go off. So this one summons the actual KERBLAM Man itself. So we have execute @a scores KERBLAM 72,000 or above. And it'll run summon an armor stand at your coordinates, show arms 1, custom name KERBLAM Man, custom name visible 1, invulnerable 1, no baseplate 1, and then finally the armor items, which obviously determine its look. We've got leather boots with the tag of a display color, which is 100, which corresponds to that kind of navy blue color, and then count as 1, and then you would open another set of curly brackets, do ID of leather leggings with their own tag, which is basically the exact same. You do the exact same for a leather chest plate. And then lastly, for the head, we do a player head with the tag of skull owner, and then in this case I've just done mailman. Again, if you can find a better looking head, go ahead and do that. I'll look for one as well, but for the sake of the video, it's the mailman. And then finally, hand items, we just have him obviously holding a chest, count 1, and then this is the important part, the tag, and then it's block entity tag, loot table, spawn bonus chest, which is when you click bonus chest when you're creating a world and it spawns a little starter chest nearby. And basically, again, like I said, I chose that because it's not too OP, but it definitely helps out people who need it. And then this second set of brackets corresponds to his offhand. Disabled slots, that's very important because it basically makes it to where we cannot take off his armor. And there's certain values you can put in this. It's kind of this weird equation, but I found that 62 makes it to where you can't take off anything, any of his armor, or anything from his offhand. The only slot you can remove things from is his main hand when you put a value of 62. And finally, we did a pose, just so it looks like he's actually holding the thing with both hands. So his left arm's at negative 45 degrees here, 30 degrees here, and his right arm is at 30 degrees here, 30 degrees here, and 10 degrees here. Alright, what do these other 3 commands do? This one does scoreboard player set at A, scores KERBLAM is over 72,000, KERBLAM 0, so it moves your score back to 0 at that point so the timer can start again. Except it won't, obviously, because it'll have stopped because now KERBLAM man has spawned. And then up here, this is just a little visual effect of the particles, so we have execute at A, name equals KERBLAM man, run particle Minecraft dust, and then 1111, that corresponds to the color, so you can change these values, but I made it this so that you could just get kind of a white particle, and then it'll obviously do that at its exact coordinates. This is the delta, meaning like how far it goes out, and I didn't make it go out very far from the KERBLAM man's position. The speed is 0, so that they're not really moving outwards, they're just kind of staying in place for the most part. If anything, they'll just kind of drift upward, and then count 1,000 just so that it looked good, and then force. Obviously this is a impulse command block, not a repeating command block, so it's just going to do one little puff of particles. You could do a repeating, but that would be a lot more particles obviously, but you can obviously change up certain values if you'd like. And then finally right here we have execute as at E name equals KERBLAM man, limit equals 1, run say delivery for at P. So the nearest player to it in that moment is the one who it's going to announce the delivery is for. And then this command block over here is execute as at E name equals KERBLAM man at S, run TP at S to its exact same coordinates facing entity at P, meaning the KERBLAM man as itself at its position is getting teleported to its own position facing the nearest player. So basically, presumably the player who it announces deliveries for, it is going to be constantly facing their direction, because this is obviously a repeating and always active command block. Over here, we have the kind of animation and delivery sequence, I guess you could say. So right here we have repeat always active, we have execute unless entity at E name equals KERBLAM man, NBT equals hand items, ID Minecraft chest, and that's really all you have to put. But the point of this ultimately is that it's executing if the KERBLAM man does not have the chest in its hand, which obviously it spawns with the chest in its hand. So once that gets removed by the player who gets the delivery, then it'll run this, because it's a chain conditional, meaning it runs directly after this one does. And this one does data merge entity at E name equals KERBLAM man, limit equals 1, disabled slots, which you'll remember, and then this value right here actually corresponds to having every slot closed off to where you can't take anything from it, instead of just everything except the hand. So basically, once you take the chest, you are unable to put it or anything else back in the KERBLAM man's hand, However, I would actually recommend being careful and not right-click on him with anything in your hand. So like if I had my sword and I right-click to take the chest, it would actually swap it out and give him the sword, and then he'd just disappear with my sword, which would not be very nice. But yeah, once that goes off, comparator goes off, this command block goes off, which just has him say, as the KERBLAM man, run, say, delivery fulfilled. And then the repeaters are just for timing purposes, so about 8 ticks later, we would do this, execute as the KERBLAM man, run, say, and remember, if you want it, KERBLAM it. Pretty cool. And then this right above it is what starts changing his pose, so this is going to be the little animation at the end of the little salute. So data merge, pose, and then you're just changing the left arm to exactly 0, 0, and then the right arm just goes up a little, so 40 here and 10 here. Okay, so then it diverges into 2 trails of command blocks. This one's going to take a while more to actually start up, because this is the one that actually makes them disappear again. So this one controls the rest of the pose. So if we come here, this is only a 1 tick delay, and this is just doing data merge again, and it's making the pose 80F and 20F, so basically we're increasing this by twice as much, basically. And then the next tick, it's increasing it to 120 and 30, so basically this is the end point where it's going to end up, is at negative 120 and 30. And basically I'm just making it to where it gets there kind of in thirds, so like it starts at its sides when it first spawns in, then it goes here, here, and here. So it's got 3 positions just to make the animation somewhat smooth at least. And then it holds the top position of the salute for 12 ticks, and then it will kind of do the reverse, so it goes back down to 80-20, then back down to 40-10, and then finally down to 0-0. And by this point, these repeaters here will have gotten to the end approximately, and they will actually make the KERBLAM man disappear again. So we have the exact same particle command from earlier, and then we have kill at E, type equals KERBLAM man, limit equals 1, sword equals nearest, and finally, after 8 ticks later, we have this, which is the logo that pops up. So title at A, title, and then this is a little bit weird, but you got to do text, and then in parentheses, all these elements have to be in parentheses, which is annoying, but text, curb, and we just stopped there for reasons I'll show you, and then you do like color, black, bold, false, italics I think is true, underlined is also true, but I stopped at curb because I wanted to make the exclamation point red, which you can do if you just like close the brackets, open new brackets, and basically do the same thing again, except this is our exclamation point, which is red as in the show. And then finally, we come out the other side, there's the third set of brackets, which is the am. So, yeah, and that's back to black, just like with the other piece. And then just close that off with a square bracket. So yeah, if you need a little more help on that, there are other tutorials on the internet for the title command, which I did have to use to do this because I'm not amazing at the title command. But yeah, I mean, that's all there is to it. Basically, to go through the sequence again, this starts counting up that KERBLAM counter 20 times a second. When it reaches 72,000 or 1 hour, set off this, which will spawn the KERBLAM man and make some little effects. And this just makes it to where it faces you. This tests for when you've taken the chest out of its hands, and then this makes its slots be unable to be changed again, and then all of this starts the animation sequence as the KERBLAM man leaves. So yeah, just to show you one last time, if we change that value in that scoreboard to 72,000, delivery for T-Bow 2. Here he is, he's got his head, he's got the chest in his hands, he's got the pose, and the colored armor. And when we take it, delivery fulfilled. And remember, if you want it, KERBLAM it. He does the little animation, and puff, he's gone. And it does the little title. And lastly, we have the chest, which, like I said, it's based on the loot table of the spawn chest. So we place this down, It'll be randomized each time because, again, it's not a set items, it's just random depending on what type of stuff can spawn in the chest. I know there's websites where you can find that. I believe the Minecraft Wiki has a page on the loot tables, so you can find the chances and what chests have what loot tables, so you can choose what you want the KERBLAM Man to deliver. I just wanted something that was kind of balanced. And just to show you, the KERBLAM Man does work outside the TARDIS. It doesn't matter where you are. I've even tried this at some of the saved locations, and it does work there. There he is. We can take our item, obviously. Does his animation, leaves, and then get our items. So yeah, this has been my tutorial on the KERBLAM Man. I have been Tebow2. Be sure to subscribe, to follow my Instagram, Tebow2IT, to follow my Twitter, which is also Tebow2IT, to join my Discord, and to have a nice day. And remember, if you want it, KERBLAM it. Goodbye.